Actraiser spun its way down from the heavens and onto your Super NES back in 1990 and was one of the very first action games released for the system. Actraiser was developed by Quintet and published by Enix and was their own personal take on the Christian faith. With the game featuring gods, devils, and angels aplenty, you'd think they wanted to create some sort of god game with their action side-scrolling game. And, well, they basically did, as Actraiser also features a complete city-building sim in the game as well. So, was this unholy marriage of action game and god game worth your time when the Super NES came out? Or were the two genres never meant to be paired together? Well, get comfy in your favorite floating palace, because we're about to see if Actraiser buckles under the weight. Start up Actraiser and you're immediately made to name your character, and then get a basic summary of why you're about to do what you're gonna do in Actraiser. Essentially, you play the role of God, though you're called the Master in the US version of the game. And it's your job to clean up the world after being asleep long enough for monsters and devils to invade everything. After the weird baby angel's done telling you your own backstory, you'll be left with a menu that lets you move around the map in your super cool god ship if you want to get a lay of the land below or choose to go down to Earth and do battle. Just be sure you're actually over the part of the map that the game wants you to go down to, or you'll probably be confused as to why the game isn't letting you do anything. Get in position and you're treated to some obligatory Mode 7 scaling down to the ground, and then it's time to do some battle. Actraiser side-scrolling levels are pretty standard. Your character has a sword to swing at the various enemies populating the map and a jump to get around with. Beyond that, you'll eventually get some magic powers to use, but overall, this is as basic as you can get. That's generally okay though, since the game has really great control, and the stages are all varied enough to make things feel fresh every time you go down to a new stage. Sadly though, none of the stages are honestly all that hard, and only take a couple of deaths to memorize everything in them. This carries over to the bosses as well. While they can generally look large and intimidating, their patterns are easily picked up on and can be killed off in a couple of tries if you're paying attention to them at all. The side-scrolling stages do at least benefit from some really nice graphics for just how early a Super NES game this was, and it impressed with large sprites, even though any of them barely animated beyond 3 frames of animation. Still though, the side-scrolling action stages move at a fast enough pace that kept things fun, and never really overstayed their welcome. Once you beat the first boss, Actraiser returns to its overhead perspective, and this is where things get weird. Suddenly, Actraiser decides it wants to be a city-building game, a la SimCity. No, Actraiser isn't just a side-scrolling action game. In fact, most of the time you'll be playing Actraiser, you'll be managing and building your cities in between the action stages. Basically, your subjects will let you know what they need you to do for them to create a thriving city once again, and then it's up to you to do it for them. Mostly you'll be clearing out obstacles using your various miracles like lightning and earthquakes, and then telling your villagers which direction to build in. Building in the right direction is important, as you and your subjects will constantly be getting attacked from various monsters that spawn out of portals around the map. Building the city in the direction of those portals will allow the people to eventually attack and destroy them once they get close enough. Along the way, at various times you'll be called back into meetings and be given gifts and directed where to go next, and eventually revealing where the big bad guy is currently residing so you can get back into the action stages. Defeat the main boss of the land and you've basically beat stage 1, so it's time to move on to the next town that needs help and do it all over again. You can always go back to previous towns that don't require your help anymore to continue building it up, but you really don't get anything more out of it besides knowing you're creating an awesome place for them to live in. So just keep moving forward to new towns so you can continue to open up new areas to build and stages to hack away in. Now you'd think that dividing Actraiser up into what's essentially 2 separate games would just be a giant mess. Surprisingly though, Actraiser's really fun and addicting, with very few issues all around. The city building stages all move at a super fast pace and fit in surprisingly well with the rest of the game. Building up city populations and achieving the various goals in them feels almost like a fun diversion from the action stages, never feeling like a chore or a waste of time while you're itching to get back into killing bad guys with a sword. About the worst problem the game has is that damn naked baby angel that's constantly explaining everything to you every single time you select it. Also, the interruptions by the townspeople can sometimes get annoying as well. You could also bash the side-scrolling levels for sometimes being overly short and easy, but overall, you're looking at a damn near perfect merging of two separate genres of games, and that's really impressive. Still though, if you find yourself instantly losing interest at the idea of a city-building game all up in your action side-scrolling game, then Actraiser may not be for you. Personally though, this was an all-time favorite game of mine, and actually introduced me to the concept of a city-building sim. The overall package of Actraiser is really hard to complain about, even today. The graphics, music, and simple but fun gameplay are all amazingly well done throughout, and you even get a surprisingly good plot dealing with religion that few games have ever been able to do since. So if you're interested at all in any of this, then by all means find a copy of Actraiser and give it a try. It deserves it just for the sheer ambition of the game, and it'll probably hook you before you know it.